Hi everybody. Today we're going to listen to a story about a plant because we've been learning about plants this week. This story is Curious George Plants a Tree. Curious George Plants a Tree. And that's the title of the story. The author is Margaret and H.A. Rays. There are two authors. Two people wrote that book. Now, look at Curious George. Do you know what kind of animal he is? That's right, he's a monkey. Do you know what monkeys like to eat? Bananas. And bananas grow on a tree. Did you know that? Look, and here's the man with the yellow hat. He's got a yellow hat, just like a banana. Oh my goodness. Let's turn the page and see what's going to happen next. Curious was a good little monkey and always very curious. Today was a good day to be curious. The man with the yellow hat was taking George to the Science Museum. The museum was one of George's favorite places. There was always something new to see and interesting to learn. He's going to the museum. And when you go to the museum, you can see lots of stuff and learn lots of new things. Often there was a special exhibit. George wanted to know what it was today, but first he had to make his favorite museum stops. The rocket room. Look at the rocket. It goes way up high into space. We could go to the moon in the rocket. Who wants to go? Me too. The mirror maze and the butterfly space. Look at the butterfly on George's nose. Finally, George and his friend made it to the special exhibit room. The sign read, How you can take care of our planet. George learned many things. How all people, animals, plants, air, and water on the planet make up the environment. How trees help keep the air clean. And how people can help protect their environment from pollution and too much trash. George had a great time and didn't get into any of his usual mischief. As he and his friend were leaving, they bumped into the museum director. Dr. Lee looked happy to see him. How is my best monkey visitor? Dr. Lee asked George. I'm so glad I ran into you. I wanted to tell you that we're having a Green Day rally tomorrow at the park. George was curious. Whatever a rally was, he was sure that the park was a good place to do it. We're going to plant a truckload of trees and collect used papers for recycling, Dr. Lee explained. We didn't have much time to advertise, but we need lots of volunteers. How would you like to help out? There was nothing that George liked better than to help. What a great idea, the man agreed. We'll be there. So they're going to go to the park and they're going to plant trees. Does George want to do that? Of course he does. He thought it's a great idea to go to the park. Just as George was about to add them to his recycling pile, someone lifted the books out of his hands. Not so fast, George, the man said. These books are made of paper, all right, but you can read and enjoy them many times. And when you're done, you can donate them to other kids or your library. Reusing is just as important as recycling. So George was going to throw away his books, and the man said, No, George, you cannot throw away those books. Somebody else can read them. Somebody else can reuse them. The next morning, George and his friends set out for the park with their wagon of neatly stacked papers. Suddenly, the man stopped and said, I forgot my gardening gloves. Go on without me, George. I'll be there soon. As George walked down the street, he spotted several newspapers lying on the neighbors' front stoops. George had an idea. He had lots of room in his wagon. He could recycle all those newspapers. Do you think George is supposed to pick up those newspapers? Nobody told him to do that. You're right. George should not be doing that. Somebody's going to be unhappy because they're not going to have their newspaper. And the newspapers were not the only thing he could recycle. He noticed a stack of paper cups sitting on a table under a tree. Into the wagon they went. So did a pile of magazines and a heap of papers someone left on the sidewalk. Oh my goodness, he's taking everybody's stuff. He took somebody's cups off the table. He took that man's magazines. Oh my goodness, and he took those files. Are they going to be happy with George? I don't think so. George was happy with his great load. At the park, he found Dr. Lee already hard at work. Good morning, George, Dr. Lee said. I'm so glad you came and brought all your friends. We need lots of help to get the job done. George turned around. He was surprised to see so many faces, but they did not look very helpful. They looked angry. Look at all those people were chasing George because he took their papers and he took their magazines and he took their cups. George. The man with the yellow hat had just arrived. He explained to their neighbors that George was gathering paper for a good cause. They were no longer mad. They even stayed to help plant the trees. Look at, they're planting all the trees. Good job. George, you saved our green day, Dr. Lee said with gratitude. These trees will provide fresher air, and each summer we'll have more shade, which means we'll use less energy to keep the grass green. Thank you. The end. I hope you enjoyed the story today. What did George plant? Yes, you are right. George planted the trees. He planted the trees. And do you remember what George was trying to collect? The papers. He took the papers and then he got the magazines and he got the paper cups. Were those people happy about that? No. But once they realized that George was trying to do the right thing, they forgave him. Good job, everybody. Y'all have a good day. Bye.